Hello, and welcome to another VerbaLink class. Tonight's class is about the true cost of oil. We're going to have a conversation about oil. It's a very cheap form of energy, at least to pull it out of the ground and to refine it. But are there other costs? We'll talk about this shortly when students arrive in the class. We'll get started shortly once students arrive. Hello, Ruxia.
Yes. Hello, hi, Simon.
Hi. Ruxia, go ahead and open that link there. We're going to watch a video shortly.
Okay, thanks.
BP oil spill. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill, also known as BP, had a significant impact on the United States' view on the oil industry. It all began on April 20th, 2010 in the Gulf of Mexico at the Macondo prospect. The explosion and the sinking of the Deepwater Horizon oil rig claimed the lives of 11
Okay, who's finished watching the video? Ruxia? Edson? All right, what I'd like you to do, Ruxia, is tell us about the video. You've got a minute.
Sorry. So it just tells us the oil spill, how it dangers the environment. Not only the oil itself, but also the dispersant that are used in the oil, like the BP oil spill that happens. How many years ago? I think it's
I think it was in 2010.
2010. Okay, about 5 years ago, and also the famous Gulf. Is that Gulf War? Like oil spill. So it claimed that there's also people dying from that, right?
Well, maybe that's what I'm asking you guys. I mean, obviously people's health are affected, right?
But directly, like just immediately died from that.
Well, we'll have a discussion in a minute. Let me go to Edson now. Edson, you've got a minute. What did you gather from the video? What did you learn? What was the video all about?
You know, the lack of the oil in some places in the ocean, it caused a lot of damage for the environment and for the government, because it costs a lot to repair the damage, and it almost destroy the life, the marine life, you know. It's like sharks and any other fishes. they just they were just dying because of the oil, and the industry of the airplane, you know, like uh, due to the cost of the oil in the airplane, is somewhat damaged the stock. I mean, how can I say that? The industry of the airlines.
Okay. Well, let me stop you there. So it sounds like you both understood what the video was about. So what I want us to do now, and it's just the two of you right now. I've got supposedly 8 people who are registered for this class, but just the two of you right now. So I'm not going to put any timer on. We'll see if anybody else joins us. Ruxia, I'd like you to play the role of BP, okay? And Edson, I'd like you to play the role of the EPA. And Shan is back.
Yeah.
All right, so Shan, you're going to play the role of BP. Edson, you're going to play the role of the EPA. And Ruxia, you're going to play the role of a TV presenter. So imagine that you're on some sort of all-news network, and you have both Edson and Ruxia. No, you have both Edson and Shan as experts to discuss what happened. So you imagine this is a couple of years ago. It's a bit of role play. So based on that video that you guys each watched. All right, so the presenter is Ruxia. So Ruxia, why don't you start us off?
Hello, welcome everyone to this TV show. So today we have invited Shan from BP and Edison from EPA, and let's welcome them and glad that they're here. So they'll have a discussion about the true cost of oil. Let's first have Shan talk about a little bit about this topic.
Well, thank you for inviting me here. Let me clear some points in front of your audience. Like, we are not denying this oil spill, and the result is in front of all of you guys. But we we are taking higher measurement to just reduce this effect. Effect. It should not become in near future, and yeah, that should be our main goal in near future.
Okay, thank you, Shan. So, Edison from EPA, do you have anything to say?
Yes, first of all, good evening for everybody, and thanks for having me. And I would say that it has been costing for us a lot, because since the damage, the destruction of the platform of the oil, we are facing very big problems in deal with situations like we are facing problems in marine environment, like fishes. We are losing many fishes, and our ecosystem is losing a lot. And we are having problems in the airplanes, because we need a lot of gas for our airplanes, our airlines. And we need to deal with the situation in the future. We need to repair the damage that it costed you know
Yeah, thank you, Addison. So we are, yeah, actually we all know there's a lot of concern about this accident, the BP oil spill. So, Shan, what does the BP company, you are as a representative, how would you respond to this accident to the just the population?
Yeah, you know, you you give me my answer in small part. It's an accident. We always take all kind of measurement, the preventive measurement, and we have been running this oiling industry for last 50 years. We have been doing it successfully. It was just an accident, and I'm not denying anything about the impact we have. Uh, we whatever has happened, we just very immediately take the actions, and government, the US court has uh, fined us around 6 billion. That's a big amount. Instead of having uh, uh, those high amount of fine, we are still uh, giving help to the marine life, and we are closely associated with few NGOs we are working who's working on the marine life. So we are taking full responsibility, and also we are trying to contribute to whatever happened to reduce the effect.
Okay, thank you, Edison. Uh, Not Edison.
It
Thank
was
you,
the
Shan.
Shan.
Yeah, thank
No
you,
problem.
Shan. Yeah, well said. Yeah. So, Addison, do you have anything to add?
Yes, in the future we'll have to save as much as we can of gas, because we are repairing the oil yet, and we have to take another kind of energies like uh, hydro energy, because we are saving the environment, marine. And we lost a lot of fishes in that situation, that occasion. And now it's costing a lot for us, for our economy, because we depend on a lot. We depend on the gas, the oil, and then we need to repair our damage or destruction that it has been doing in our system and environment.
Okay, thank you, Edison. So, Shan, actually, I have a question. I know you said it's an accident, but it's quite, the consequence because of the consequence. So, it's a very unfortunate to have this accident,
Hmm.
and it's pretty rare. We all know that it rarely happens. So, could you tell us what's the big problem and how will you prevent that in the future as a company?
Well, we develop a two team, of which one team is just closely associating with the few government agencies who are trying to control the speed all to the beaches and the coastal ecosystem. And there are few NGOs. We are also closely working with them. And another team is just has been built to find out the root cause. And I can assure you that we will put full of our effort to just prevent those kind of mistake will not make again. I don't want to just identify is those as a mistake. It was a few technical mistakes which was very rarely come, and definitely will try to uh, just reduce those mistakes.
All right, guys, let me jump in now. I'm going to change it up a little bit. So that was the first role play. Now we're going to go back to our radio call-in show, and I'm going to be the host for a little bit, and then I'll let one of you guys try it. Here we are on WKX 95.656565 FM for our daily talk show component. We're going to talk about oil. Oil. We need it, don't we? It's very important stuff. But is it cheap? What is the true cost of oil? Well, some people say they know, some people don't. That's what we're going to talk about here tonight. We are all aware of the Gulf oil spill, the Exxon Valdez, and there's many others where oil in the millions of gallons or liters or tons, you name it, has been leaked into water or on land, destroying the environment. But we also realize that we need oil because without oil, we wouldn't have enough food. We use a lot of diesel to produce food on a large scale. So we need it for food, and to transport food, and to import food. So if you've been to your grocery store recently and you see made in another country, you know that that food is highly dependent on the price of oil. Plastic, well, it's made from oil. Rubber, it's made from oil. A lot of things in our lives, computers, printers, phones, they're made from oil. Or they use oil in the production of whatever it is being made. So I see the calls are lighting up. I'd like to go to the lines now, and I'm looking for comments or questions. First caller, Edson. Hello, sir.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from New Jersey.
New Jersey. And do you have a question or comment?
Yes, to produce oil, it's expensive, because you need to see the amount of people involved in producing. And imagine the damage that it causes if you are not working very well, and then suddenly a machine just stop working and you need to provide something to repair it. Tell me, is it very expensive? Is more expensive to repair than to produce oil?
Well, see, here's the unique thing about oil. We don't make it. It's already made for us. It's from a bunch of dead dinosaurs, animals, and plant life from millions of years ago. We just have to pull it out of the ground. So it's very hard to compete with something that is free. The cost to us is extraction, and of course, refinement. And refinement is the process of taking that oil, boiling it, getting kerosene, gasoline, propane, and all sorts of other hydrocarbons are delivered from oil. Great call. Next caller, Ruxia.
What I'm representing?
That's a very good question. Deep meaning of life. Well, who do you represent, Ruxia? Where do you live, first of all? Why don't you tell us that?
I'm just recommend a general population, just a citizen.
Very vague. Do you live in a state, or are you just a ghost?
Okay, I'm just living in the state.
Would it be
I'm
California?
calling from California.
I thought it might be California, that or New York. It makes sense for somebody from California not really knowing what their purpose in life is. They're very ethereal Californians. Okay,
Oh, I'm not
great.
from California, but every time I just pretend I'm calling from California.
I know. Well, do you have a question or comment about today's topic?
Yeah, so as you said, there's just because oil is something already there, just people tend to use that. We cannot stop people from using that. But that because of all these it can potentially have accident that's really very dangerous for our environment. So I was actually really an advocate of using our other renewable energy, like not renewable, just other sources of energy. But I just know people just like to use oil because it's out there and it's free. People can make profit, and there's nothing you can stop from. You cannot shut down those companies. There are tons of companies. How would the government, for example, the EPA, would regulate those things?
Well, that's a good question. Well, the EPA has no problem with oil. It's been in industry in the United States for over 100 years. It's produced a lot of money. It's produced a lot of pollution. And only now is the federal government starting to pursue reductions in CO2, which oil is a large producer of. So, you know, obviously the EPA has no problems with oil, wind, solar, and geothermal, what we call renewable energy sources. So, yeah, other than that, I don't know what else the EPA is thinking. Thank you, caller. Next caller, Shan. Hello, Shan. Where are you calling in from?
Hello, I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And do you have a question or a comment tonight?
It's kind of mixed. I'll just first put the comment. Comment like we need to think about we are too much dependent on oil,
Why
and
is that a problem?
because of the dependency, when you don't have the much option, like this kind of situation has came, but still we can't avoid it. Like we are pretty much aware of this oil leakage and so many kind of problem uh, uh, right now facing the marine life, but we can't stop just extracting oil and avoid those situations because we don't have much options. My point is, if we don't try to find out another options, we'll be heading in bigger danger. And it's been just 100 years, uh, around 150 years, we are using oil as fuel.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So, callers, my question to you then is, should we cut back on oil because, well, it's just polluting our environment, or maybe that we're going to be running out of it sometime in the near future, maybe in our lifetimes? Well, we probably won't run out of it. It'll just get very costly to extract what is there. And, of course, with a growing middle-class population in the world, China and India alone could really put a huge constraint on oil, and that could lead to many, many different issues in the world scene. So that's what I'd like us to get into. So the cost of oil from the viewpoint of alternatives or not doing anything. Next caller, Eidson. I think his name is Eidson. Hello, Eidson.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. Where are you calling in from, sir?
I'm from Washington.
Ah, Washington, the great state of Washington. Wonderful.
Yes.
So what's your question or comment, sir?
I have a question and comments like, what's gonna happen with us in the future without oil? Will it be possible to survive without it, or we're gonna probably because we're gonna make another kind of source of um, energy, you know. And but what's gonna happen with us without oil in the future? Because one day we'll have not oil anymore, you know. I don't know, maybe. What do you think?
Well, oil, like I said, was made a long time ago. Only so much of it was made. It takes time to create oil. So we're not going to run out of it, but we're going to get to a point where there's not going to be enough being produced every day for the demand that is there. And that's going to create problems. China, each year, uses more and more oil. So does India. And the potential is there for China to use a lot more than the U.S. currently uses. The U.S. currently uses 25% of all the oil produced in the world. 25%. So what's going to happen is there's not going to be enough oil for the demand. Price is going to go up. That's going to make some things very expensive. That's going to make it very difficult for some economies to do well. It could be recessions. It could mean wars. Imagine what would happen if we ran out of water, or we polluted all our water and we couldn't drink it. It's the same sort of thing. We depend on oil for everything. Thank you, caller. Next caller, Rexia. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Simon. So, yeah, so do, do you know why the oil price recently is dropping?
Well, why do you think it's dropping?
I haven't done any research on that.
Well,
I think
okay, so let's think a little bit. Based on what you do each day, what causes things to go down in price?
just supply and demand.
Yeah,
It's
that's it. So essentially, some countries are trying to get more market share. They're trying to they're producing more, which is dropping the price.
okay.
That's all.
What country? Which countries?
Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
they're one of the largest producers of oil, and from what I understand from the news is they're trying to force North American and European producers of oil from fracking out of the market to get a bigger piece of the market share. But obviously this is hurting them because they're losing out on income.
Yeah.
So not necessarily the smartest thing to do. All right, thank you. Shan, next caller.
Hello. My question is, the oil industry is the biggest industry. It's like 1.73 trillion. So, do you think if the scientists will come up with a good idea about the alternative source of energy, do you think they will just going to promote that, or they're going to just stop because of their interest?
Well, I think that's a very good question. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that they'll pursue other technologies?
They can't stop for all the time, but they could just stop for few time beings, and they could just uh, you know if you just take a look, you will find that top 10 biggest company out of top 10 biggest companies, 7 companies is run by the oil industry.
Right, but what I'm saying is these companies are there to make money, and you should always follow the money. As long as they're making lots of money, and if they are making lots of money, there's no reason for them to change. However, these companies also realize that at some point in the future, we're going to hit peak oil, and things are going to get that much more difficult after that. So I'm sure that there are alternatives. I'm sure that these companies are purchasing technologies and patents so that when oil does become just far too expensive as an energy source, these companies will move into other technologies. All right, thank you. Next caller, Jar.
Hello, Simon.
Hello, sir. Thank you for calling in. Where are you calling in from?
I am calling from Colombia, Bogota.
Bogota. And do you have a question or comment for us today?
Yes, I'd like to know if now it is the right time to invest in companies, in the stock market, in companies that are producing oils.
Well, I think that if they have a healthy balance sheet, that they can survive these lower prices, because there are companies going under. But I would definitely be looking at the energy sector for sure, because oil is not going to be this low forever. It is going to go up, and it's going to go up high. So eventually things are going to change, and I think the energy sector is a great place to invest.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, guys, that was that round. We're going to change things up a little bit now. I would like to still do the radio call-in show, but would anybody else like to be the radio host? First person to volunteer gets to be the radio host. Edson, you just volunteered. Edson? Hello, Edson.
Hi, I'm here.
Yeah, by volunteering Ruxia, you volunteered yourself.
Good.
Okay, so you're going to play the radio talk show host for a little bit. You can copy my style, or you can use your own.
All
Now,
right.
at 55, I have to end this class because I have another one starting 5 minutes after that, and I need some time to get ready for it.
Okay.
Edson, whenever you're ready, take it away, Mr. Talk Show Radio Host for FM 96.949494 FM.
We are here now from FM 66 point, and we are here. We have some calls coming from the most part of the world, and we are gonna hear from Jair. Jair, tell me what you think about the price of the oil because of the destruction that has been happening some years ago. Tell me.
I was following the oil market, and I realized that since the 2014, the consumption and the production was balanced, but after the second quarter in the last year, the production increased and the consumption continuing increasing, but not in the same level, and because of that, the price of oil went down. But I think in 3 or 4 years ahead, maybe they will find a balance again, because the world GDP will continue growing, and maybe I would expect in 3 or 4 years we find a balance again, and the price of oil will recover for sure.
Thank you for your participation. Now we are gonna move to Ruxia. Ruxia, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Japan.
Japan is a nice place. Well, what's going on in Japan with the oil? What tell me about the situation?
We are worried about the fish because we eat a lot of fish, but now we kind of worried about the pollution, 'cause- and it actually also limit our export to the other parts of the world because people are thinking the fish and all these seafoods from Japan are possibly polluted by from the oil. So I'm really worried about it. Actually, yeah, you see people are saying the crabs are weird.
It's nice. Thank you for calling. And let's move on to Shan. Shan, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from India.
India is a nice place to live. Tell me what's going on. There is something that is happening in India nowadays with oil. Oil is it expensive in India? Wow, how the government is dealing with the price of the oil at all.
Yeah, but here the oil price is getting higher and higher day by day, and the governments are no longer willing to put subsidized on, especially the petroleum uh, products, but they do subsidized on the diesel because mainly the transportation um, depend on the diesel, and if they just remove the subsidized money, the cost, the product in the market, the cost will be very high. So that's why they are just putting that money there. And one more thing I can just tell you, like here, uh, day by day, cars are going on the roads. So due to the oil, there is high greenhouse emissions and carbon dioxide are spreading in air. That's the main problem.
It's nice. Thank you for sharing. And now let's moving on to Simon. Simon, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the moon.
The moon. Nice, nice place.
Thank you.
Tell me, is there any kind of oil in the moon that you can make use of, or how is the life in the moon? This is amazing, you know. Tell
Well,
me. Tell us.
the reason I am here is a few years ago we discovered something more valuable than gold, diamonds, or even water. We discovered something called helium-3. Now, helium-3 is so rare and it's plentiful on the moon. It's on the surface. And what we can use helium-3 for is for nuclear fusion reactors. We're experimenting with these reactors, and the only fuel that we can currently use is helium-3, or they burn out. But helium-3 is very expensive to get on Earth. So we're up here on the moon, we're mining it, and if all goes well in our test phase, we could be able to provide so much energy and provide it so cheaply than the current
Is
nuclear option without any toxic waste.
is it grown just in the moon, or it may be grown? It may grow in the earth.
No, well, what happens is it comes from our star. So when the star emits radiation or coronal mass ejections, that hits the Earth, and we have a magnetic field that protects us. So very little helium-3 gets to the Earth. The moon has no protection, so it's constantly being bombarded with helium-3.
It's nice. Well, guys, thank you for your participation. It's nice. It was nice to have you with us here now today, and I hope you come soon.
All right, thank you very much. All right, guys, take a look at this. This is the price of oil. And this price is per barrel based on 2006 dollars. And we can see that up until the early 70s, oil was pretty cheap. And then it got a little expensive during the 70s, and then once the 80s rolled around, oil was cheap once again. Until, of course, around 2004, 2005, it started to get expensive again. And then we had a recession, it collapsed, and then it shot back up again, and now it's down again. So one thing that we can see about oil from this chart is it's a lot more volatile, which means the difference between a high and a low can drastically change from one year to another. So I'd like to hear from each one of you. I'm going to give you a minute. And if you were responsible for planning your country's energy policy, what would a chart like this make you do? What would you do? When you see a chart like this, what would you think? What would you want to do with your current energy policy? Let's go to Edson. Edson, you've got a minute.
Well, I try to save as much as oil as I could, and because of course we use gas in cars, in airplanes, in motorcycle, as you mentioned, in every place, and I would try to make a way to save oil and try to use another kind of energy, because once the future we probably we can run out of oil. I believe this is going to be possible, and we need to start from now to provide solutions for the cost of the oil and the oil at all.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Sure. What would you do? How would you change your country's energy policy?
Okay, I think here in Brazil, the government tried in the past to introduce alcohol to substitute gasoline, for instance, and today most of our cars you can fill with alcohol or
Ethanol?
yes, ethanol or gasoline. So this is a good idea to try to control the price. And for instance, our gasoline, in our gasoline, today there is 25% of ethanol, if I'm not wrong. The government was investing in biodiesel as well, in some facilities to produce biodiesel. And we are a large producer of oil as well. So I think the government is doing the right thing, but the problem is that sometimes we have to follow the international price, and the price go ups and down. But I think this strategy is good.
But if we move away from oil, if we diversify with other fuel sources, then we're not beholden onto the price of oil nearly as much, because what we call these peaks, these are called oil shocks. And quite often these peaks happen just before a recession. All right, thank you. Rexia.
Yes. Hello. Hi.
Yeah, same to you. When you see this chart, how would you change the current U.S. energy policy by looking at this chart? What would it make you do?
So because of the price of oil is going up, is that what the chart shows?
Well, you tell me, what does the chart show?
No, I couldn't read the bottom because let's see.
Well, the bottom, those are years.
No, I'm saying like the red stands for U.S. first purchase.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Just look at the black line, and that's the price of oil. Don't worry about the
Okay.
other lines.
Okay, but why there? Okay, 2000. Okay, so it's fluctuating, but recently it's going up again.
Yeah.
In 2000.
But
So I would.
unfortunately, you've used up your time
Okay.
asking me questions about the chart. No worries. Shan,
Yeah.
how would you interpret this chart, and what would you do to the current energy policy?
Well, you can easily interpret like the oil prices depends on very much the companies who's are ruling right now. And if they reduce the produce, oil price will grow high, and if they increase the oil production, the price will down. So we are pretty much depend on their hand. And uh, uh, in India, we are not sufficient. We are not sufficient to produce uh, our oil requirement. So we are pretty much depend on that. So that's why I would like to invest the other energy source. I know that right now we can't ignore oil because of high energy density. But if we start investing on other sources, definitely in near future we'll find our answer.
Okay. Here's what I think of when I see that chart. I see a lot of price shocks. And each time it's happened, no one's been prepared for it. Nobody thought oil was going to crash in price, like it has right now. People would have had thought that by the middle of last year it would have picked up again. So what I'd be doing is I'd be saying, well, we need to get off the dependence of oil. It's when it's really, really high, it hurts the economy. It takes money out of the country. When it's really, really low, well, it hurts the part of the economy that's dependent on oil for revenue. So I would start encouraging nuclear energy. I'd bring back nuclear energy, and nuclear energy is a lot cleaner than most of the other sources. I would get away from type 1 reactors, though. I would look at type 2 reactors where 99% of the waste that's produced is actually recycled and uses energy or fuel again. So it produces a whole lot less waste, because nuclear energy is a lot cheaper to produce. It doesn't require a large amount of land. It doesn't require us growing crops. It doesn't require us polluting water or land. But I'd also encourage solar, because I think solar is anything but efficient. I think there can be improvements made in solar. And of course, wave turbine technology. But unfortunately, that kind of leaves us, or we're kind of out of time. I've got about another minute that I need to get ready for my next class, which is describe what you see. Just to let you guys know, I do have, other than the next class, 3 other classes coming up. I have a debate class tomorrow night, and the debate class is actually going to be based on the topic we discussed tonight. So if you guys attend the debate class, you'll be a lot better prepared for it. I also want to share with you some debate documents. I'm going to paste them. If you get a chance, read up on these before tomorrow's class. I do apologize. These are not the best in terms of grammar. I grabbed them from somewhere else because I'm rewriting my own document right now. But use those links, and that'll help you get ready for tomorrow night's debate class on the price of oil. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming. I do have 1 spot left in my next class, Describe What You See. I hope to see you guys then. Take care, and thanks for coming.